In this video, we're going to look at configuring EIGRPv6 in this IPv6 network. Since EIGRPv6 is a fairly simple protocol, we're going to focus on just configuring this left half of the network. So getting the corporate router to talk to laptop 0. A couple of things here, all of the IP addresses have been configured as you see on the diagram. And just to double check the laptop 0 and assign itself a gateway through autoconfig, I'm going to go to desktop, IP configuration. You can see we're missing the IPv6 gateway, so simply if we just flip to static and then back to autoconfig, we get the IPv6 gateway configured there. So what we're going to do here is just take a look at a couple of things. First thing I want to look at here is the Madison router. So if I open this up to give you an idea of what IP addresses we're working with, some of these were configured with EUI64. So we'll take a quick look at the show IPv6 int br, and there you can see we both have the 14 network along with the 12 network. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to copy this 14 address, and this will be the inside interface of what we're trying to reach. From the corporate router, if I try to ping that gig 0 inside interface on Madison, I'm guessing this should fail. And we'll see these start to time out here. So what's going on with this? Well, if you think about it, the Madison router knows about the 14 network and the 12 network since it's directly connected to both. The corporate router, however, does not have any routing set up to reach that 14 network. So our pings to this gig 0 interface on Madison, or even the laptop for that matter, will never reach there. What I'm going to do is go back to the corporate router and start to set up some of this routing. So if I go back onto corp, we're already in our enable mode. We're going to go to config T, and from config T we just have to go into the IPv6 EIGRP configuration. So simply IPv6 router EIGRP, and then you can see we can pick any autonomous system number. I'm just going to pick autonomous system number 10. So you can really pick anything that would match your network that you have. Now it's important to remember, in some older versions of the Cisco iOS, you actually had to enable EIGRPv6, and this was done with the no shutdown command. In newer versions like 15.0 or later, you shouldn't have to enable EIGRPv6. It should be turned on out of the box. Something else you might notice is on older versions of the iOS, you actually had to give it a router ID. Well, we'll see in the particular version that I'm working with, there is no option to give it a router ID. So if you're wondering why that's missing, it really depends on that version of the iOS you have. And just to show what version I'm on, so we can get some consistency here, if I do a show version, we should be able to see here that I'm on actually 15.4 or 15.1. In any case, configuring EIGRPv6 is fairly simple. All we have to do is go to the interfaces and tell them to participate in EIGRPv6. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over to my config T, and from my corporate router, I want interface, looks like serial 000 to participate in EIGRP. So we'll go serial 000. Next thing we do is just tell it, be a member of EIGRPv6 and autonomous system number 10. So IPv6, EIGRP, and then we will do 10. So simply just pick the autonomous system number that you have. Hit enter, and that's all there is to it. Very, very simple. I'm going to go onto the Madison router and tell it to advertise its interfaces out into EIGRPv6 as well. So same process like we looked at before. Config T, we're going to go enable EIGRPv6, so IPv6 router EIGRP, picking the same autonomous system number that we used before. No shutdown just to be safe. Exit back out and we'll go touch the interfaces that we need. So I have interface serial 000. I'm just going to tell it to participate. So IPv6, EIGRP, and autonomous system 10. The other interface that I have connected to Madison is gig 00. So interface gig 00, IPv6, EIGRP, 10. What we should eventually see here is that we start to exchange routes with the corporate router. So let's take a look here and see if our routing has propagated. I can easily do this by doing a show IPv6 route. So it doesn't appear as anything has come across quite yet. So this is something kind of interesting. So I previously said we don't actually need to set that EIGRPv6 router ID from that prompt. Now, this might be a quirk with Packet Tracer that we're discovering here versus a real live Cisco router. What I'm finding is that if we do a command here to verify what we have in EIGRP, just simply show IPv6 EIGRP interfaces, we're going to get no router ID. Okay, so there's our problem of why this isn't working. It's kind of an interesting thing to explore a little bit. Now, a workaround I'm thinking is what we can do is create a loopback adapter. That should be pulled for that router ID. Let's give it a shot. We'll go back into config T, and this is on the Madison router. Interface, loopback. I'm going to give it loopback 0. Set the IP address. We can just set really anything here. I'll just go with the standard 127.0.0.1. And of course we need our subnet, so just giving it a slant 32 since it's a loopback. Let's maybe switch this out to 192. Really doesn't matter. Okay, so now when we do the same command here, show IPv6 EIGRP interfaces, there we see those came back up. So there's going to be our key, at least in Packet Tracer, is to set that with a loopback adapter. Let's go check it again on the corp router, so going back to where we were before. So as we can see here, our routing table still does not show anything, but same thing, we'll do config T and go into interface, loopback 0. Okay, so loopback adapter's up, set an IP address. We'll just set this one to .2, again really not mattering. All we're trying to get out of that is the router ID. And there we see it. Perfect what we're looking for. The neighbor adjacency change. So now what we should be able to see is if I do a show IPv6 route, there we have it. Our dual route or EIGRP route coming in to the 14 network. So again, if I just try to ping that router's interface now, so again, you can see this is on that same 14 network. There we have it. So a couple things, even though this initial setup didn't go 100% as planned, it's important to be able to look at the problems, verify what you're looking at with some of those commands like the show EIGRP interfaces. You can do show IPv6 EIGRP neighbors. You get some more information like that and it might reveal the problem.